or legal vulnerability. Statute expressly provides that a plan statutory bonus. Oh, somebody else. Um, so I don't think I would concur in many of those bullet points. Just it's not intended to be wasn't intended to be separate. It was intended to be that you have to have one. Uh, if all of the people who two are, then you're compliant with that. He's exactly right with the statutory role, but it is another, if it's another body, they have to be independent and impartial in two counts. They have to be independent and impartial when it comes to site-specific land use application. That's required already. So in other words, they have to evaluate a land use application based solely on the evidence presented to them in the record. They don't have to do so with respect to development impact. Their sole role is to put their finger on the pulse of the CIP, make sure it's tracking, make sure the growth, and then file written comments. And so you could make the argument that there's no body to be able to be qualified to make those recommendations than a planning and zoning commission. They're the ones that just approve. They know the growth rate. And I shared your skepticism at the outset. And I watched this planning and zoning commission work as an impact fee advisory committee. And then I realized how it actually, it's working well. I think. So I don't think there's any legal vulnerability to a developer making recommendations on a capital improvement plan that you ultimately have to approve, that you ultimately have to have, because you're the backstop on that. So they're in a position to receive information. There's no, I guess I would add to this, there's no reason why you couldn't add more people than the 5 that are on the planning and zoning. It has to be at least 5. So if you want some extra input, you could certainly have that. But what we have found over the course of trying to get through with a separate impact fee advisory, how these things work. and then getting people willing to serve, as you pointed out in that, you know, it's difficult to get people to do this and paid enough. Now I lost my train of thought. Oh wow.
I have
Anyway,
another
I was
question.
glad you had one.
most people aren't, but that's so to the extent that we're making reference to legal implications, I'm not appearing to be too much of an advocate. I just think from a legal standpoint, in terms that you can be confident on whether it's these folks are not only up to the task, but the fact that they meet monthly. Had prior DIFACs that can only meet when we
Okay.
I represent 16 other cities, very few of which even have. And so with respect to the workload, we find ourselves at times at a big growth spurt. They couldn't print plat maps fast enough. That's slowed down a little bit, I think. I don't know. But I don't see the workload at meetings exceeding their capacity. So I just would tell you, I don't see any legal problem.
Okay. Okay.
There
So
are-
you don't see any legal problem.
Right.
But one of his bullet points was, you see any ethical problem?
No,
No, the two are the same.
I don't know how they in fact they're the check that you want when you have people saying these impact fees are going to be too high, because you have people in the business of development and you have people in the business of real estate serving on the plan. And so those same people are on the impact fee advisory committee. They have no legal authority to try to pave the way beyond that facts that are in the record.
We are not, that is not to discount.
Yeah.
That presentation, listening to it, I considered it to be anecdotal from the practical observations of a former DFAC member, it does not define legal parameters as to what isn't and what is or is not permissible. I'm sitting back there, I did not stand on my head at any point, but I almost did. You guys are choosing to use very precise terminology like misappropriate. These are like, legally defined terms. And when we throw those out there, I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. And so, but I understand what you're saying. Practically, if I'm wearing that fee hat, that means I'm charging developers more, but then if I'm fee hat, I'm trying to manage the community and provide for growth, smart growth, et cetera, et cetera. So I understand exactly what you're saying there, but legal, and in fact, statutorily prescribed.
Sure. And then again, you guys are always black and white, right? There's legal, is it not legal? And I'm just trying to figure out also, is there,
Taking that lens.
right?
He's looking through rose-colored lenses. Your lenses, I don't know what color.
Is that a compliment?
So I guess I would just add, beyond that, from a legal perspective in terms, make sure that you can accomplish your legally required goal of having a capital improvement plan and a legally defensible impact fee. What you have going now works smoothly, but it's purely up to you. I'm can it and go a different route, that's fine by me as well, but this one for me works.
Councilman
Mayor.
McCarthy.
So for a few years, we've had it as separate DIFAC. So now it seems that we're pushing it at where, how is it that other municipalities keep into that practice of having a separate body? And yet, I hear claims of, well, it's hard to get people to join and everything, and this for the DIFAC. Yet, well, my question would be then, how are we going about recruiting? That's a discussion. Legally, if we want to make the argument that it's not, yes, Idaho code P and Z to be part of that, but I don't see where, when we come looking at it through the lens, it's a checks and balance to make sure that when we had sent the county the recommendation for the county CIP, it went to the DIFAC. We presented it to P and Z. They had their questions, and then it comes on here. So it's another checks and balance to make sure that we're going. I commend the P and Z for jumping in and diving into it, but there is years of information on this, and to have a full grasp of what's going on after just a month and a half. And quite frankly, when I get the city council packet and it doesn't have anything, things that's missing. So what I'm trying to say is, where is the issue in having another checks and balance with experts in that field to then make sure that we're on top of it? Because as we've said tonight, that CIP has been flawed and error for years now. And so we had DIFAC and everything and talking about this. So if we're going to stream taking more checks and balances out, what's going to protect the taxpayer to making sure that things are actually going to be growth, related or coming back?
Go ahead.
So just to be, that is 100% your policy. This statute, I went back to written by the realtors, Building Contractors Association. They put impediments, stumbling blocks, and procedures and processes to. So to your point about checks and balances, to the extent a development impact fee advisory committee needs to, greedy city is going to want to stop. This is the backstop for it. But that same role is played by your P and Z commission. But I couldn't agree with you more. You are dead on the point that this is a check and balance to make sure the fees don't get. Who's the best person to do that? I don't know. But in terms timely fashion so that you can respond to changes in the market. This one seems to be working. So,
All right, council, what do you guys want to do?
Make a motion to terminate resolution 2025R for the purpose of removing DIFAC duties from the mountain and reestablish the Development Impact Fee Advisory Committee.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo?
so we've heard from P and Z tonight in the hour that not only do they accept this task, but they welcome it. The report shown on the screen talks about transparency. Planning and zoning meetings are recorded and broadcast. We did that by ordinance as a council previously under 1-6. Inferring that P and Z isn't neutral in that is awfully distrustful of the board that just sat in front of us and gave their findings. Saying things like impartial language, that's specifically their task and requirement of service. Talking about staff resources, more meetings equals more staff. And the department directors and department managers that are amongst the highest paid people in the city staff. Responsible long-term planning is quite literally P and Z's duty. Plan and CIP. Quite literally. And lastly, if the DIFAC has been dealing with this for years, why did the issues persist? The maneuverability of planning and zoning from the experience of a former planning and zoning commissioner, I argue vehemently in the opposite, that not only does the P and Z see what growth comes through and receives these reports, and they have stated for the record that they have the ability to maneuver beyond the one time a month that they may meet now. I think this is an interesting take, and especially given legal's view on this, that the language being used is very accusatory of a body that has served in really impressive fashion in order to meet the need of development in this town.
Mayor. So really quick, Councilman McCarthy, I think, and maybe I'm off, your words were, I don't want to see this table, the growth rate, or I want that looked at. I want to see the stepping up another DIFAC is going to take. So with that, Councilman McCarthy.
So I think I'll take from that of this perception. That's the idea. It was said that I was accusing that it wouldn't be. I'm glad you brought up about the fact of videoing, because it was a request of recorded for the public to understand what was going on, such as the deficiencies and the errors in the report. I hope that that's continued with other counties or committees, to the point of saying that it's an accusation that against their transparency, and that I think that's a little bit putting words. Brought this presentation here, it was the perception that we could have a potentially of split the bodies. And as the fact that you had brought up of, well, why did these all persist? Well, there's emails out there of reports coming to this body, city council and the mayor, of these deficiencies, and yet nobody reached out to us. We had a joint meeting last year that was supposed to happen June, and yet we had constantly been asking as a DIFAC, which we are permissible under the Idaho code, for reports when it came to impact fee finances, to professional reports, to all these things, and it was a constant battle for 2 months. And when it came to the fact of the last day on Monday, before we were supposed to have that joint meeting, it was a discussion of we would still like to have these reports. And yet 2 hours later, the joint meeting is canceled. So again, when you're throwing out these, Councilman Harjo, I can respect your perception of it. It's not as the DIFAC sat there with their hand and did nothing and wasn't sending up the reports. We took on the county CIP, came back. Mayor, you had even gave us praise for how far we had come and brought it to you all. And we started looking into the city CIP, and that's when we started getting pushback. So I do take offense to the fact of this perception of that DIFAC wasn't doing anything, because all you have to do is go through the meeting minutes. So I'll say that.
All right, it's been motioned and seconded. Any further deliberation?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
I've intentionally held back to try to get a word in before this thing comes to a head. I am confident I have a decent understanding of the differing perspectives. My observation is a little more pragmatic. The flow of documents coming to us from that are planning and zoning for development has not gone down. When the city council voted to DIFAC and P&Z last year, my first thought in the audience was, where are they going to find the time? We've got not only the CIPs for the county, we've got development that is on the uprise. We've got hours being spent at the time in the current working materials, and we're about to ask our P&Z DIFAC combined committee, who are like any other good volunteer citizens, ready to jump in and do the work. My question is, in my own mind, do any of us really know how much work we're about to hand them? Because going into a deep dive on the CIP of the city is not going to be a small undertaking. And the number of developments that are going to be coming through is not going to change. So that's where my mind is sitting right now. Is it's not a question of whether I've, it's the question is how far do we want to grind them down the process?
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo.
it's already on the planning and zoning's radar, and the date is moving closer in which the 5-year and 10-year comp dates are coming. There were a number of initiatives that planning and zoning was taking during my training from P&Z to council, including updating for the land use chart. The P&Z is not only ready, but has been doing this magnitude of work. And it's not as if this planning and zoning is the only one who's encountered this. If you read our current planning and zoning and see the staff time, the council time, the planning and zoning time in the 2020 comp plan, the associated CIPs that are presented at every budget, the body quite literally sat in front of us. We are fine to do this. We are accepting of this. I don't know what other indication we need from them on that matter. They verbalized it with us today.
All right. With that, there's been a motion. Further discussion? Hearing the question, Councilman McCarthy,
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla,
Aye.
Councilman Harjo,
Right?
Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
Okay. Run down to action item.
Mayor, I bring this up 2 years or so ago. The former iteration town hall style meeting. Back in that era, there was a pretty significant amount of conversation with on that topic. Primarily with Paul, some with Jeff over after. I want to first state that I am most certainly in favor of town halls. I pushed for them singly and as a full council, full stop. What I'm not in favor of is different interpretations of the law for different members of the city council. In the first few months of my term, I brought this topic up to the council, staff and legal, and asked the full council town hall. The majority of the council chose not to partake in a town hall at that juncture. Thus, concerns from the council, staff, and mayor and legal regarding the staff attendance to such meetings, staff time not being budgeted for such, the cost of in attendance, the nature of the meeting, would staff not be prepared? Would we use the mayor or the moderator or a separate moderator for the location, public notice, meeting minutes, recording discussed at that juncture? Then I asked about the legality of single council member town hall gatherings. Legal's view on the single council was that it was not permissible, giving the following and citing the open meeting law handbook. There are no such thing as a single council member come from both of our. You must meet and hear the public input as a body, publicly notice both coming that at various junctures. If another council member were to attend a single council member's single town hall, this would constitute a meeting without. Jeff and I have had a number of talks about this. We had one instance where a civic organization was trying to meet with myself and then meet with Councilwoman Workla in the same day. And it was discussed that we could not do that at the same time. A meeting without quorum. If one or more council members were to attend without public, and that is an open meetings violation. If another council member otherwise consumes your statements regarding that, could constitute a serial meeting and must. I've had these notes carried forward for 2 years now as a reminder of what we were told back in the day and what rule set that we had to work. I even found my old open that had some highlights that have some really specific application to the current topic. Open meeting law defines meeting to mean the convening of a government body of a public agency to make a decision or to deliberate towards a decision. Deliberation is further defined. The term meaning the receipt or exchange of information, opinion relating to a decision, but shall not include do not specifically relate to the matter pending before the public agency for decision. Note that this does not require discussion or preliminary decision making. Even the receipt of information relating to a decision, i.e., a measure of which the governing body will have to vote on, amounts to deliberation and therefore under open meeting law. And that is what was stated to me at that time that would prohibit me from having my own town hall meetings. So here we are in 2026, 2 years. And my question now to the new configuration of this body, knowing what open meeting law, the state AG expressly, our option as a council is to have publicly noticed meeting of town hall meetings as the body. Is there any interest amongst this council to do that very thing with the considerations of we have to work through the issues of staff time, who's going to moderate the works? It was not adopted then. my ask is there any interest now to do the same thing?
Mayor,
Councilman Workla?
is this being brought up because Councilman McCarthy a public forum? Is that why?
Mayor?
Councilman Harjo?
Yes, and unfortunately, like, because of open meeting law, I can't necessarily just pick up the phone and call Councilman McCarthy on the topic. So bringing it here is the natural and ethical thing. There were very specific things said during that particular meeting, and then to follow with the same reiteration, even going so far as me attending a county commission meeting, not representing the city, but as citizen observing. And then the following week, 2 council members show up to the county commission meeting and with the county commission in a quasi-formal manner, representing voice of the city. And these are those instances that I go, this on what is legal and permissible and what our desire is as a council to interact with the citizens.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Workla?
My opinion has not changed. That's accurate.
So Councilman McCarthy cannot have his forum.
Can't tell them they can't have it, but it is layered with potential problems with it, because the town forum is not to celebrate Brennan McCarthy, citizen at large, is to get his take or perhaps influence him on, hey, I want to talk to you about development and all those things. You are conducting or discussing city business body. And as I've said 1,000 times, does, as a legally recognized entity, does a city council member exist? Answer, no. As a legally recognized legal council exists? Yes.
Okay, so what if he attended his forum? Questions were asked as, why did you make a decision on this action item on this date? And he clarified why he did that. Is there anything?
I could think of all kinds of ways that could run afoul.
You can't talk to the community and explain why you made a,
The community.
but explain why you made a certain.
You're hosting a town forum. I understand the way, municipal government works. You're not a judge like the judiciary. So in fact, if Judge Peterson was in the grocery, that can't happen. That's an ex parte communication. As a quasi judicial entity, you are a little bit different. And I understand perfectly that as the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, city councils across the globe represent, they're going to grab you in the grocery store and they're going to grab you in this. And what is my advice every time when you guys ask me what that is? That is wonderful. I really am listening to you. Tell me what you think. But this is something that you should bring to the city council at yourself. And then the next time you're at a city council meeting, disclose that. And you say that you either are or will not be influenced by what you were told in the grocery store.
So when Councilman Harjo and myself and the mayor attend the and people ask us why we vote on a certain way, and we explain why we vote on a certain way, we were breaking if there was more than 2. So then if Daniel Brennan came into the picture, that would create a quorum. So
That's a public meeting, an unlawful public meeting, but
we've had
conducting legal even if you're not a quorum, if you're meeting and discussing municipal business and you're not doing it at if you have a quorum, that's a different open meeting violation.
Right.
But if you don't have a quorum and you're discussing city business, now you're in violation because you're without having a quorum in a city council meeting. So now you've gone 2 layers.
So attending an Elmer Republican Central Committee and saying, you may not have heard it, but your 3 chicken allotment has now gone up to 5.
May have. I mean, it's loose, but
Mr. Mayor,
Mayor.
I just want to, I think one thing that Councilman Sanders, and Councilman McCarthy, this disclosure of conflicts of interest, and this is a reason I think we've been cautious in some of the advice, maybe overcautious, maybe overreacting, is the distinction between quasi judicial and legislative act crystal clear, and so you can accidentally expose yourself to input from people pending matters that are quasi judicial. You're going to hear input on specific developments, and maybe
yeah,
you should.
legislative, you're fine.
Legislative, you can take all the lobbying you want, and as I you've chosen to do that and by disclosing email things, but people can call you and bend your ear and lobby you. Legislative matters include amendments to the comp plan, amending specifically rezoning piece of property. So what we're trying to tell you, and we try to stay consistent by talking to one another about it, is those things where you're a one-off, you absolutely First Amendment right, you can have all the town hall. It could end up, depending on what's said and who said it, conducting deliberations. And I'm gonna just, this is our concern, dude, is if there's a decision that we make later, somebody traces that back to a meeting that was not properly noticed, it can invalidate the decision. You can ask the State Board of Education and the University of Idaho how $500 million. That's our concern.
So hang on a second, I'm gonna let Councilman McCarthy go.
Thank you. I'd like to get a few words in since I seem to be the topic of choice here.
I think, I think Councilman Harder just wants to know if you guys are up for a town hall together.
I'd like to first address some of this. Jeff, thank you for bringing that up because I believe that court case involved.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a topic of choice, but
It was basically a meeting it was an unlawful meeting. So
Right.
anything that's an unlawful meeting.
right, and it held in an executive session. So yes, I am having a town hall. That is, to me, is important to have out the public outreach. I would like to say that I know a councilman in Boise that had their own town hall individually, turkeys, and they had their, so I think it's definitely a consideration where I can see you're saying about and discussing that. But I think, and forgive me, it just seems that I'm being told that I can't talk with the public.
I'm not saying.
Okay,
at
and
all.
that's the
I'm not.
case. Okay, I just want to clarify for the record.
It's the strange venue of the town hall. And it's funny you mentioned chickens, right? Because I remember this happened in Boise and a council member got all dialed out about it. And it was when they were ending in the city of Boise, 1,000 or something like that. They were no longer going to allow farm animals. And it was like Maybell or Daisy the cow or some stupid thing. But one of the things that stemmed out of it was all the ex parte stuff of people bending an ear and trying to stop them for it. So it happened, and it was in Boise, and it was all a big to do about, and there was all kinds of puns about moving on and all that, but it was a thing. I mean,
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Sanders? All right, were you done?
No, I wasn't.
I'm
Hang
sorry.
on a second, let Councilman
I yield.
McCarthy go.
Thank you.
I appreciate that clarification because again, I think it's one of those of want to make sure that we're clear.
keep it generic,
It's fine. I'm
specific.
still waiting for that new councilman training that was going to happen, I guess, in February. So
No, that was his fault.
in the email that it said that I had broken. Oh,
Did not.
I know. So, and I know Councilman Harjo is being patient with this, and I appreciate that time. But I think it's one of those that I would like this conversation to happen here in the public instead of also sitting down with you both, and so that the public understands that. And correct me if I'm wrong. That individual council members can still have a meeting or a forum to discuss with constituents. It's just trying to figure out an issue of, is it a quasi issue? A topic comes up and I have to say and move on? Is that the way we go about this, or?
Absolutely positive. Yeah.
Okay.
It's what, again, they want to come and talk to you, not because you're Brendan McCarthy super six, because you're Brendan McCarthy councilman. And depending on what they want to talk to you about, be very, very careful on where you venture, because it could be something that's going to land in front of you later.
Just like in the packet that Tiffany had given us about, you're discussing with the public about do's and don'ts of, your thoughts of future decisions and things of that nature.
Predetermination, bias, conflicts of interest. Now that actually does come in, all of the above. It's all under the auspices of process.
Okay. So, yeah.
Councilman Sanders.
Gentlemen, to further my understanding of Councilman Harjo's request and motion or action item, were we as a council, or at least 3 members of us, if that's all that we're participating, were to want to host a town hall, given my experience so far with the need for are those constraints still part of what we would have to do to have a town hall as a group?
Yes, no.
Love, you guys, you told her yes and no.
Yeah, I did. So yes, so like when you guys went to the Republican, I just had Tiffany just post something on the door so they knew where you guys were going, because I didn't know how many of you were gonna go. And I was starting to get awfully nervous about it. I'm like, Tiffany, just post it. And she did. So 3 of you are getting together. It is not a city council meeting per se. It is a town hall meeting. But 3 of you are getting together, and it is a public meeting, and it does business, nothing specific. That requires a posted meeting agenda. The agenda says town hall, and that's it. Doesn't have to be recorded because there's no quasi judicial hearings that are taking place. But so, I mean, I stand by yes, no. So it doesn't follow almost any of the requirements that of what we're doing here and all the public hearings we just had. But it does require, we're going to get, the 3 of us are going to get together and city stuff's going to get talked about.
And the minutes, to have somebody's
Somebody's got to do the
got
minute.
to be on the hook for minutes, and you just say, we talked about some things.
Now, but to address an earlier concern that was also raised about when something may come up for decision, even though it was not on the council's radar when it was discussed all.
There's the danger. That's the
Will we have to take the names of every for disclosure under
No.
prior contacts?
With 2020 hindsight, that's which which is why I said generic, nothing specific.
Well, we won't have that option.
You don't know that the corner of X and Y is going to be the subject of this thing, and this person who's coming to talk to you in a very friendly manner actually has an agenda there, and he's trying to manipulate a certain outcome, and he's doing it a very way. And then sure enough, a month later, that application does come. You need to be able to have either the minutes or memory saying, wow, this person actually came to talk to me a month before the application was filed. I am biased or I'm not biased, but here's what was this. I mean, the admonition that I always give. That's why I'm saying very, and ultimately my advice from a long time ago, or if you do like notice it up like a real meeting and the whole 9, but I can't say it's legally precluded. And like I said, about the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, why can't it be quote organized? All true. But whether it's the grocery store or in a town hall, all those that you are exactly right, because that's what then comes to pass a month later, and now it's a pending application. And you just the irony is none of this applies when you were running for office. You can get on the soap, you could meet with everybody at the soapbox, but once you're actually in office, your ex parte contacts with the public as to a specific, what could be quasi judicial things, that's when it comes down like an ant.
Mayor,
Woman Workla?
thank you. So like when Republic came and
When who?
Republic, did I say Republican? Republic,
Waste management.
Waste management. Bill? Or no, not Bill,
at
that's
the
Michelle.
American Legion, there was 3 of us that we had no idea we were going to show up, but we all coincidentally showed, all briefing us, but we have contracts with them. So how is that any different?
If you, I mean, if you want, there's the way that you do it, and then there's the legal lens, right? The legal lens is don't engage. There's 3 of you together. The 3 of you can get together and play poker. The 3 of you can get to go skiing. But once it becomes municipal business, now you got to post that. That's now a city council meeting.
So would we
The
supposed to
fact that
leave?
somebody's saying something to you, one, the hair on the back of your neck should go up because you're looking left and right going, oh, there's 3 of us here. Now I know I gotta mention it at our next city council meeting. But if they're trying to engage with you, that's a hard stop.
Okay. And then my last question is the mayor exempt from this?
Yeah.
Okay, because he does make, he is the tiebreaker vote. So I was always wondering that. He can,
Case in Idaho.
Okay.
There could be, I guess. There's no case in Idaho about whether a mayor should anticipate having to break a tie vote to become the decisive vote on something that he has had ex parte contact with. That would be how it was framed. And if those facts came as just that, that the mayor was heavily influenced, well, shit, happened. Mayor Brent Cole's taking the whole clan to New York. I mean, it did happen.
Don't do that.
And yeah, and 2 of them went to jail. Just saying. I was a city attorney for Boise then. I was like, what question would you like to be answered now? Susie, what?
Susie was the attorney.
Well, but I was in that city council meeting.
Okay.
But
it's like, we're done.
now I forgot what I was saying.
All right, Councilman Harjo.
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo.
I ask to the current iteration of this body is there a desire to have a town? And if so, we can work on scheduling that, working through logistical issues of clerk and meeting minutes and so on.
Mayor,
Councilwoman Workla?
if legal will be there and say, Jenny, stop, shut up.
Because that's worked so well. I love you. Yes, I would be there.
I mean, sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
more town halls.
Anytime I can get us in front of the public.
I love them as far as a body goes. And then I'm the lawyer and everybody is always, looking at me while I'm talking to you, but sometimes they come to me. Those things are glorious because you can actually interact without all this formality stuff. If you got 3 minutes.
Sorry.
I'm happy to come to yours if you want.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders?
perhaps there was a revised version of the agenda but I noticed the one I'm looking at on my coworker's desk has us going from final comments and adjourning down to an ordinance.
No, I got the ordinance above,
We did that earlier.
not yet.
Okay.
No, I got it.
We give you a different.
You're a little late
agenda
there,
than
my
we get.
friend.
I knew that.
Okay. You're good. So what do you guys want to do with this, what is it, action item number 8? Is it 8? I crossed it out already.
Mayor,
8, Councilman Harjo.
I think we all agreed that that's something that's on our radar.
Okay.
Maybe if the council wouldn't mind, we can collaborate through our city clerk on time and availability. Not necessarily needing to set a date and time at this juncture, but more gauging the interest of the council on that.
Copy that. Okay, I'm gonna run down to ordinance.
Point of order. It's an action item deliberation.
You want to just want me to pull it?
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo?
even through the action of just directing that staff conferring with them on scheduling.
Okay.
I think we need a motion for that.
Mr. Mayor,
Okay, Councilman Sanders.
I would move that the council direct staff to begin preparations and scheduling for a council-wide city town hall.
So council doesn't direct staff.
Would you mind doing that for us, please, sir?
Thank you.
Second.
So it's a motion okay. It's been motioned.
Second.
Second, all in favor, or sorry, any discussion deliberation? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla. Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna run down and do the ordinance first, and then we're gonna get down after that. Recognize person in the audience. So really quick, we're gonna go down to action item deliberation decision on ordinance 18. Sections 9-4-2. Definitions 9-4-3 by Parks and Rec impact fee add and EMS impact fee to the table of fees of 9-4-4, specifying payment procedures 9-10 subsection B by adding the additions of refund procedures 9 residency provisions and setting the park impact fee.
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo.
this is a unique instance where the 3 readings suspended, but we can read this for title only. So I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 18. Definitions 9-4- service area and EMS for the table of fees 9-4, specifying the payment procedures 9-4-10, 9-4-16, adopting the state code
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further deliberation or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Council
Aye.
Harjo,
Okay.
Councilman Workla, Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Jeff, could you please read the ordinance by title only for its reading?
I would love to. An ordinance, an ordinance of the city of Mountain Home, we were just having a little discussion. Anyway, ordinance number 1815, an ordinance of the city of Mountain Home Development Impact Fee, amending section 942 definitions by amending section 943 by amending the parks impact fee, adding an Elmore County service area and adding a medical service impact fee. Amending section 944 by specifying payment procedures for fees per rental agreements. Amending section 9410B by refund procedures for an intergovernmental agreement. Amending section 9416 by adopting state code residency provisions and providing for repealer, severability, codification, and an effective middle part.
Councilman, you've heard this ordinance read by title only for its Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilwoman,
Aye.
Councilman Harjo, and Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
All right, we're gonna run down to, would anybody like to get up?
Oh, yeah.
To Jeffrey. See you guys.
Thanks, Alan.
Ted, floor is yours. 3 minutes.
Thank you, Ted Thompson. I'm requesting that the city reconsider the frequency congestion issue on common traffic advisory frequency at the airport 122.8 megahertz. It's a unabated hazard, unabated dangerous situation that continues to cause problems in the traffic, potentially safety problems. It causes physical pain when more than one transmitter is transmitting on the frequency, such that I've had to remove my headset because of extended periods of squealing in the headset, multiple transmitters at the same time. Councilman Brennan had asked the airport committee to look at weather station off because that problem, that's 1 in 8 of the problems with the congestion, if you want to make that assumption. Although that is a help to turn that off, it is not going to solve the problem. The weather station itself is a problem. It's transmitting false information. Checked the weather before I came in here today. It was showing a 40-mile visibility. The Mountain Home Air Force Base was showing 8. Back in January, it was showing 40-mile visibility. And driving by the airport, it was less than a quarter mile. That false information is being transmitted to pilots. There is no reason we ought to be having to listen to false information, particularly when it causes a frequency of congestion problem. The state expert in aeronautics asked why we wouldn't change. My question is unanswered. The frequency needs to be changed to enhance the safety of the Mountain Home Airport. So it's best that you make that change as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
Thanks, Ted.
Anybody else?
Mayor, Council, Rod Dudley. Just a couple comments. Um, when it comes to the town hall meetings and whatnot, I think what people are really wanting from you, Mayor included, is a transparent conversation where we can ask questions, get answers, and not have to, in a 3-minute time period, hope to God it gets taken care of somehow, some way in responding to our questions. So I appreciate the efforts of trying. And the one other comment, and I'm actually doing, they are wondering where Crazy Days is going. Because sitting in their last meeting, sorry, Jenny, if I've stolen your thunder here. They, in the last meeting, one of the members said that it is the highlight of her life and she looks forward to it every year. It was refreshing to actually hear somebody young say something like that, because I grew up here and we had more than Crazy Days, that's for sure. But anyway, if you guys can come up with a where, they would appreciate it. Oh, I have, thanks.
Thanks, Ron.
Anybody else?
Council, I'm not real sure, but they has what that crosswalk light there by the heat transfer in that area is working across in that busy area besides when there's only the one deal on and Main Street. Check it if they could. But no, that's about all I got.
Stone.
All right. Council, run down. All comments. Scotty?
Mayor.
Councilor Worklow.
So, discussion items only. I'm requesting council, for their agreement on this. Golf course advisory committee on the next, agenda meeting. And then the airport frequency concern at the airport. I'm saying discussion only because I just want us to discuss first. And then if we decide that this is something we want there at that meeting, we can make it a next meeting as an action. That gives everyone time to, research and present their concerns. So do I have council's golf course advisory committee?
Mayor, Councilman Carthy.
I would support that.
Mr. Mayor. Councilman Sanders.
Ditto.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
I just wanted to ask for no last discussions regarding water and wastewater. I had asked about potentially getting Keller here to have a workshop to address questions and concerns. I just wanted to ask if that has been started to work on the process, if we have a timeline, April, or what we're looking at.
March, if memory serves me correct. I'll get you that answer tomorrow,
Okay.
or yeah, tomorrow. And that was Keller for, I thought it was March, but let me get that answer for you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Keller.
Mayor,
Birthday, Councilman Harjo.
regarding the Crazy Days location topic, am I remembering correctly that Crazy Days is going to continue down the hub and down to the chamber?
So we were, so the Crazy Days, so Crazy Days is done by the chamber. But the carnival is done. Yours truly. Or actually, I should say Paula Safransky. So that is, so is that what we're asking for is Crazy Day? Crazy Day is going to go on regardless. So I think if it's the carnival, that was where we're looking at iterations of where we could stick a guy, I can't remember his name offhand, to say, how much space do you need? And then once we find that out, then like you said, Second Street over by the hub, the chamber, knock those streets out for a couple, not be a huge impact to the business down there. That'd be cool. Talking about other areas in town. So if the kids that can't get to where it's, everyone can get to downtown. They're out of optimist that everyone can get out there. So those are more to follow, but we got to get carnival guy. Bugs me. I can't remember his name, but more to follow on that one. Councilman Harjo.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I just want to make a quick comment. I was given information secondhand. I wasn't able. It came by to me a reliable source. Our business owners along the construction area are finding it difficult. They want to leave the parking that's on the street available for their clients. However, with the construction going on in the park where their staff is no longer available to them. So they're starting to struggle to find places where they can keep slots in front of their businesses open while at the same time not having to walk 3 and 4 blocks, finding a parking spot to get to their businesses, to get them open. And I mention that only because I'm going to be reaching out to see if because they have the central location where most of them, if they would be willing to perhaps work through the chamber partner and we get a little town, small town give and take going back and forth. We can accommodate some of those business owners so they can quickly and safely get to their businesses and still leave parking for their clients.
Okay. Okay. All right, council, anything else? Go Team USA. A couple of golds. It was awesome. So let's see here. What else I got cracking? I don't know. I'll just be quiet. It's late, so I will shut up. Everyone, all right, meeting adjourned.
City council meetings would be better if it was hockey.